everybody, and welcome back to True Crime with Nat. Today I have a case that is pretty familiar with a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people have heard about this case, but it's pretty popular, so because it's kind of crazy. We're going to get right into it though because there is a lot going on. So with that, I'm going to try to keep it in one longer part like I was asked, but it's going to be hard. So today's case is about Kristin Smart. You've probably heard about her. She's very popular. So Kristin Smart was born February 20th, 1977. She was actually born in Germany to Denise and Stan Smart. And then in October of 1979, they had a little boy. And then in 1982, they had another daughter. After this, they settled in Stockton, California. Kristin was very involved with her siblings, and she loved being a big sister. She loved having siblings. Kristin was a great student, and she was very active. In 1995, she graduated high school and was planning to spend a lot of her time at the beach, so she thought it would be best to become a lifeguard. But she actually ended up taking a lifeguard position in Hawaii at a camp, I believe. So she went there, so that's awesome for her. She planned on staying close to home for college, though. So she went to Cal Poly, or California Polytechnic State University. That's a mouthful. So in May of 1996, Kristin actually wanted to drop out of school. She was having a pretty hard time, but her and her mother had a little conversation, and she decided to continue attending since she worked so hard to get into school and to get where she was at now. So this brings us to the incident. One day, Kristin and her friend Margarita went out looking for parties, and they got a ride with a guy and a couple other girls. And after being out for so long, her friend Margarita wanted to go back, and they decided to split ways. So Kristin kept going looking for parties, and Margarita went back home because she was tired. Completely understandable. But this poor friend regrets this to this day. So around 10 p.m., Kristin found a party at a fraternity house. It was kind of like a birthday party. And Kristin ended up drinking a lot more than she usually does. She wasn't a big drinker. And then at 2 a.m., the party had ended, and a couple came across Kristin laying in the grass, so they decided to help her get back to her place. And this is when another student named Paul Flores, he's going to come up a lot, so keep him up in that noggin. He came running up to them and wanted to help. A little bit further, the couple decided that they wanted to go their own way, so they split off, and they thought Paul got it from here. He did not have it from here. So Paul says he walked Kristin to his dorm and then saw her walk to her dorm, which is just a little ways. So Sunday rolls around, and I believe this party was on like a Thursday or a Friday. But so Sunday rolled around, and her roommate and her friend Margarita started getting worried since they had not heard from Kristin since that party. So they ended up coming together and deciding to report her missing, but the police would not accept the report, and they just said that she probably went somewhere for the holiday, like Hawaii, to visit her friends there, which is just crazy. And it actually ended up taking them a few days to accept the report. They interviewed many people until they kept coming across one specific name, and that was Paul Flores. A lot of people at the party said that he was acting really creepy and coming on to a lot of the girls. And actually, when Paul was interviewed, there's like a picture of it somewhere. I saw it when I was researching. But there was a picture of him even, and he had a black eye, scratches, and a rug burn on his knees. So Kristin's parents weren't actually really all that filled in throughout the investigation, and they even reported that they felt that she was being treated as a missing bicycle rather than a missing person. That's absurd. That's insane. So then dogs were brought into all of the dorms on campus, and 4 of them alerted to Paul Flores' dorm. So then on July 26, 1996, the police fulfilled a search warrant at Paul's mother's boyfriend's house. His name is Ruben. So they hinted that Kristin had been there. He even told his roommate that Kristin was having lunch with his mom at this house, at the boyfriend's house apparently, following the party when she went missing. And then a couple started renting out Paul's mother's house, so there's two houses, Paul's mother's house and then the boyfriend's house, Ruben. This couple started noticing some pretty weird things, like letters saying she needs to go forward and talk to the police, Paul's mother, and then a metal trash can in the driveway that the mother said to not touch it, and Ruben would be by to pick it up in a couple days. And then a couple days later, it was gone. And then also, the most important one, an earring was found by the girlfriend's car that had a partial fingerprint on the back made out of a red substance. In January of 1997, Kristin's parents went to go check out the earring because they finally heard about it. And when they got to the police station, they were told that it was lost. And actually, the couple that was staying at the mother's house kept hearing like a watch beeping every morning at 4:20 in the morning in their backyard under the ground near a corner garden, but there was concrete under the ground. Then one day the beeping just stopped. The couple was kicked out shortly after when they started voicing their concerns, which is just insane. So on June 19th, the FBI and local law enforcement conducted a search at the mother's house with ground-penetrating sonar systems. They could not find anything during the search. And the main excuse to not dig up the concrete that we talked about is the cost was way too high if they did not find anything. Crazy. And then in May of 2022, Kristin was declared legally dead, which is so sad. In In 2005, the Flores made a lawsuit against the Smarts stating that they had been harassed by them and their henchmen. And this opened up a whole new can of worms, okay? So since the Flores family's homes were open for another ground-penetrating sonar search, but everything was cleared except for the garden area with the concrete and those flower boxes, the results came back as inconclusive. Then in 2011, there was a new sheriff who opened up the case. So that's good. That really is what solved this case. In 2016, they finally were able to move forward and started excavating an area way in the middle of nowhere, so not even at either of these houses, where her body could have been buried. And then in 2019, they got a court order and was able to monitor Paul's phone. So that was a big one. In January of 2020, the police obtained the vehicles that could have been used to transfer Kristin's body, which had belonged to the Flores family. They only said that items of interest were found. They didn't really specify what. And then in March of 2021, Ruben's house was searched again with cadaver dogs and more ground-penetrating sonar systems. It hasn't been released what exactly they found, but a couple arrests were made in the outcome of this search, and you can only guess maybe who that was. In April of 2021, Ruben and Paul were finally arrested. Paul was accused of 3 other assaults that date back to 2007, and then in August of 2021, his first hearing was scheduled, and then finally in 2023, Paul Flores, then 46 years old, was found guilty and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. The judge at his hearing said that he was a cancer to society. Let me know if there's cases that you guys want me to cover, but until the next time, have a good one and stay safe out there.